Hey everybody, welcome to Man vs. 7800, where I try to complete every 7800 game possible. My name's John, aka Silverback, aka the 7800 Pro System Gamer. Today we're taking on Karateka, and my god is this game hard. This game, it's difficult to play, and it's frustrating to play. I have tried a long time to beat this game, and recently I've spent many hours trying to best it, and this is probably the first game that I didn't have fun trying to beat. I shouldn't say I didn't have fun. I had some fun, but it was mostly marred by frustration with the controls and just how the game is. So we'll get into that a teeny bit more here in a little bit. This video is going to be a little bit different than how I've done the previous ones. This first run here is actually a failure run, but I want to show you guys what I endured to get this video out, because I've failed probably no exaggeration, 100 times. This game almost defeated me, but man prevailed against 7800. So we're going to show off this failure run first, so that not only you can feel my pain, but we can talk a little bit longer about the game, because I do have some things I want to talk about. So, Karateka was originally released for the Apple II by Jonathan Mechner in 1984. It was ported to pretty much every computer of the time, and was brought to the Atari 7800 by Atari, and developed and programmed by iBid Inc. in Hartford, Connecticut, back in 1987. Jack Sandberg was the senior software engineer, and is the only credit I could find for Karateka. Now, Jack Sandberg has hardly any credits to his name. He worked on this port of Karateka, he worked on the 7800 port of Hat Trick, and he worked on the unreleased 7800 Gato game, Gato, which is a submarine simulator that was being worked on but was never released. There is a few unreleased versions out there at Good Deal Games. I believe you can get one of them. Mechner went on, the guy that created the original Apple II version, he went on to do the Prince of Persia series, which is what he's best known for. And this game very much feels like a prelude to the Prince of Persia games, because you'll see a lot of the influence that they had, and sort of him developing his style in this game. Also coming up, this game's kind of topical. Because the studio that did the Atari 50th last year, a couple years ago maybe now, Digital Eclipse, is releasing an interactive documentary this month on August 29th for the Xbox, PC, and PS5, along with the Switch in September, for Karateka. So I don't know why they chose Karateka. I guess because it was the beginning of Jordan Mechner's career, and he is a big influential person in the video game industry, so maybe that's why they chose it. I'd like to talk a little bit about the magazine reviews for this game. There's two that I know of, from a GamePro issue and from an Atarian issue. Now, both of those issues were essentially reviewing the XE version, which is a closer relative to the Apple II version, but they list the 7800 version, so I have a feeling a lot of people got tricked into purchasing the 7800 version, thinking they were getting something in line of the XE version or the Apple II version, and they definitely did not. So you can see here we're making it to Akuma. Akuma is the boss, and the story goes that he kidnapped your woman. I think her name is Maiko or Maikako or something. Akuma is actually Japanese for devil, which is I find pretty interesting because he is definitely a demon to beat in this game. Now, another thing in this game, you'll notice as you fight Akuma and the last two guys, birds will attack you, and you can't really do nothing about it. When the first bird comes, if you're high kicking, he won't be able to damage you, but if you're doing anything else, he'll get a hit in. The next two birds, for the guy prior to Akuma and Akuma himself, you have to be advancing towards the enemy into danger in order to prevent the birds from hurting you. But you can't hurt the birds. Now, I didn't know because this is the only version of Karateka that I've ever played, but apparently in the Apple II original, you could kill those birds, and God do I wish you could kill them in this version. Now, a little bit about this version. If you were to look at the source code, there's a hidden message at hexadecimal address 0x079D. In the code it reads, "Mommy and me are one." So that's believed to be a reference to a 1985 subliminal message study, and it's supposed to be motivational. So I don't know if the developer that we mentioned earlier was having a lot of issues and needed a little bit of motivation to get through the development. It would certainly explain a lot. So I just found that kind of weird. It was noted over at mobygames.com. And I just thought that it was interesting that he included what's believed to be a motivational message in there. Graphics and gameplay is so much better in the other versions. This version is slow, and Prince of Persia games and this game are always kind of slow and teeny bit on the methodical side, I would say. But this game just feels outright sluggish to play. And in the other versions, Akuma and the enemies look so good, and they just look so plain in this version. It's just really sad because I know they could have done so much better had they either had the time or the resources. Also, I'm going to show it a little later in the video, but there's some things in the background that lead me to believe they were trying for something closer to the Apple II and computer versions, and they just weren't able to do it. Again, if it was time, resources, technical limitations, I don't know. But there's certain things that will show off at the end that makes me believe it was supposed to be the game that it always was on the computers. I'd like to thank Cousin Vinnie and Atari7800forever.com because without the guide that he posted, I don't think I could have beat this game. Matter of fact, I know I couldn't have. I had to completely change the way I was playing it. So if you want to take this game down, if you have any interest in beating Karateka, which I do not recommend, go to Atari7800forever.com and read his guide. I think without it, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Back to Akuma, and this is the first and only time I've ever beat Akuma. So it's just a difficult game. He only has to land 5 hits on you to take you out, and he can do that in rapid succession. So it's a lot of luck. You got to really just pick your spots and get at him. And then you got to contend with the bird, too. So you're forced to go towards him when you don't want to sometimes. So you might want to back off to get your life back. But then you have to take the steps towards Akuma to avoid the bird from damaging you. It probably would have been smarter to let the bird damage you because he only takes 3 pings of your life and you have 5. But it's just a fight that forces you to fail a lot. It's artificially hard. And again, in other versions, Akuma is such a beast. He looks so cool. And in this version, he's just like everybody else, except he's orange. Also, when the ending comes up, for anybody that has light sensitivity, beware, because the screen is going to flash a lot. So I just wanted to put that out there. I don't want anybody to have a reaction to it. And we did it. We beat Karateka, and my god, I never thought I would. This was incredibly difficult to do. And the ending is absolutely not worth it. That was all you get. So I want to show off now some of the things I noticed. First off, in the beginning of the Apple II game, you climb up the side of a cliff and come up to this great palace. Well, here, if you back up all the way to the end of the screen on the first enemy, you see kind of a jagged area, and you can actually fall off there because it's the end of the cliff from the Apple II version. So I thought that was kind of neat. Also, if you go way forward in some of the inside battles and even the outside battles, you'll come across some different ground textures or different ground background sprites, and you'll also come across a couple pillars that actually move, sort of pseudo three-dimensional. So again, I think those were intended to be the gateways and stuff that you go through in the Apple II version, but I don't know that for sure. I think they were originally going to try for the gates and the traps from the original, which would have been really cool. I think they could have pulled it off again if they had the capability, time, whatever it was. So we beat Karateka. It's not recommended. I don't recommend you try it for yourself. This is the first game I didn't have fun with, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And in the next game, we're going to be facing off against the Misery Dragon alone. So stay tuned for that. And here's a goofy thing I did. I have a good feeling about this.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.